Coming up on today's show, the U.S. hits Colombia's president with sanctions. The Pentagon accepts a $130 million donation to pay troops. And for candy lovers, find out which state gives out the most Halloween treats. Plus, here's today's trivia. Which two countries have highways without a speed limit? It's Sunday, October 26th, and this is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and welcome. I'm your weekend host, Amy Hess. I'm here to give you the news you need to know to be prepared and informed. So let's get right to it and get ready for takeoff. The U.S. on Friday imposed sanctions on Colombian President Gustavo Petro and his family after President Trump called Petro an illegal drug dealer, accusing him of failing to curb drug trafficking. The two leaders have clashed over U.S. strikes on boats allegedly used to smuggle drugs, killing dozens, including some Colombian nationals. Trump has said other nations had failed to stop the boats, while Petro has accused him of murder. The U.S. carried out its 10th strike on Friday against a vessel allegedly operated by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in a statement, since President Gustavo Petro came to power, cocaine production in Colombia has exploded to the highest rate in decades, flooding the United States and poisoning Americans. In other news, the Pentagon confirmed Friday that it has accepted an anonymous $130 million gift to help pay members of the military during the government shutdown. President Trump said the donation was made by an unnamed friend who, quote, loves the military and loves the country and wanted no recognition. However, the move has prompted questions about its legality. The military typically relies on money appropriated by Congress for funding. Senate Democrats blocked the Shutdown Fairness Act of 2025 and a 54-45 vote that would have paid active duty service members and other essential federal workers. All right, shifting gears to something a little sweeter. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the most popular candy given to trick-or-treaters, according to Reader's Digest. Reese's Cups are the top treat handed out in 14 states. M&M's, Hershey's, Milk Chocolate Bar, Snickers, and Skittles round out the top 5. The list was compiled from DoorDash receipts last October when consumers were stocking up for the holiday. So where's the best place to make a big Halloween haul? Pennsylvania gives out more candy than any other state, followed by Kentucky, Utah, Idaho, and New Hampshire. Those are the states that are probably handing out the full-size candy bar. Want to see where your state lands? We've got it linked in the show notes. We actually had a great discussion with a lot of comments on last Sunday's show about our favorite candies, and chocolate was a clear favorite. If you didn't get a chance to weigh in, jump in the comment section today and we'll keep the conversation going. I do try to answer each and every one of them. All right, let's talk money news. The Dow Jones Industrial Average had a strong Friday, rising 472.51 points and closing above 47,000 for the first time. In corporate news, Target is making some big cuts, close to 1,000 corporate positions and 800 open roles, as incoming CEO Michael Fidelki aims to streamline operations and accelerate decision-making across the company. And Alaska Airlines said Friday it's restored operations after a technology outage grounded flights across the country and forced the airline to cancel more than 400 flights. Now let's take a look at the market report from the previous week. The Nasdaq was up 1.58%. The S&P 500 was up 1.52%. The Dow Jones was up 1.93%. Bitcoin was up 2.18%, and gold bucked the trend and went the other way, heading down 2.96%. Here are some extra stories just for you, our podcast listeners. First up, former Vice President Kamala Harris says she's, quote, not done, signaling she may make another run for the White House in 2028. In an interview with BBC, Harris said public service is, quote, in my bones, and didn't rule out, quote, possibly becoming president one day. It would mark her third bid for the Oval Office following her loss to President Trump nearly a year ago. While she told MSNBC last month she wasn't focused on 2028, her latest comments suggest that could soon change. In health news, researchers have uncovered why some people in their 80s retain the sharp memory of those 30 years younger. A Northwestern University study found those so-called, quote, superagers have brains that resist typical age-related shrinkage, particularly in regions linked to memory and attention. The findings could help scientists better understand cognitive resilience and potentially slow memory decline in aging adults. And a nationwide penny shortage is starting to squeeze consumers and businesses, with the U.S. Mint set to end penny production in early 2026. Some Federal Reserve sites have already stopped filling penny orders, prompting retailers like Love's, Quick Trip, and Sheetz to round cash transactions or offer freebies for coins. Lawmakers are now debating legislation to make rounding legal nationwide as the country adjusts to life without the 1-cent coin. Still ahead, we're diving into sports with the Lakers record that stood for over half a century until now. And we'll answer the question, whatever happened to Dan Quayle? Stick around, but first, a word from our sponsor, Native Path. All right, I talk about this one all the time because I genuinely use it every morning. It's called Native Path Collagen. I've tried both the bone health collagen, which I love too, and then this one right here. I actually add a scoop of it to my matcha tea every day. It blends up so smoothly, no clumps at all, and you can't even taste it's in there. Here's what makes it different. Native Path uses only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the two most important kinds that make up about 90% of the collagen in your body. That means support for your joints, bones, skin, hair, and nails, all without any fillers, additives, or weird sweeteners. They also third-party test every batch for heavy metals, and it's a single ingredient formula. Just clean, pure collagen. And if you're thinking about trying it, Native Path offers bundle deals, like 3 or 6 jars at a fraction of what other brands charge. They've sold over 4 million jars, have more than 8,000 5-star reviews, and even include a 365-day no-risk guarantee. You can also call and talk to a real person if you have questions, which I love. So if you want to feel good from the inside out, check them out at getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover or just click the link in the show notes. Hey, and you can go with what I did, which was getting the big bag. I went and surpassed the jar, and now I'm on to the big supersize. I guarantee you're going to love it. Here are a couple headlines in the world of sports. Los Angeles Lakers superstar Luka Doncic has shattered a 56-year franchise record for most points through 2 games after posting 92 points during the team's 1-1 start to the year. Doncic is just the 4th player in NBA history to kick off a season with 2 consecutive 40-plus point games. And in college football news, number 22 Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian is reportedly interested in interviewing for future NFL head coach openings. Time to answer those random questions, like whatever happened to Dan Quayle? Dan Quayle served as President George W.H. Bush's vice president from 1989 to 1993 after previously serving as an Indiana congressman and then the state's youngest ever senator. As vice president, he was a frequent target for media critics over his perceived gaffes and culture war battles. The most famous of these battles was sparked by Quayle's criticism of the TV show Murphy Brown, about a fictional news anchor who became an unwed mother. He accused the show of diminishing the importance of fathers, a point that was ridiculed by critics at the time, but began a debate that continues today. After leaving office in 1993, he moved to Arizona and into private business, emerging briefly in 1999 to 2000 to run for president before dropping out and throwing his support to George W. Bush, the eventual winner of the 2000 election. Since then, Quayle has become chairman of Cerberus Global Investments and has authored 3 books, including Standing Firm, a vice presidential memoir. He still does occasional onstage interviews and policy chats, and his name is on the Quayle Vice President Learning Center, a Huntington, Indiana museum dedicated to the office of the Vice President. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Dan Quayle's vice presidency. Drop a comment in the show notes. Time for a few quick headlines in our Etc. section as we start our descent. First up, President Trump announced a 10% tariff hike on Canadian goods on Saturday, calling Ontario's anti-tariff campaign fraudulent and accusing Canada of misusing former President Ronald Reagan's legacy. Next, Hurricane Melissa is picking up steam. Forecasters say it could rapidly intensify into a Category 4 or even 5, bringing the threat of widespread flooding to Haiti and Jamaica. Meanwhile, the Justice Department is sending federal election monitors to California and New Jersey, part of an effort to ensure transparency, ballot security, and compliance ahead of Election Day. The Better Business Bureau is warning about a scam called ghost tapping, where thieves secretly charge your tap-to-pay card or mobile wallet in public. According to the Bureau, scammers might bump into you, pose as vendors, or ask for small donations, then charge much more than you agreed to, often counting on you to tap without checking the screen. And finally, something a little lighter, researchers working in Wyoming's Badlands uncovered 2 remarkably preserved duck-billed dinosaurs, revealing for the first time that some dinosaurs may have actually had hooves. You can see them for yourself with a link in the show notes. Let's see how you answered yesterday's poll. The question was, are you planning to watch the World Series? Here's how you answered. 50% of you said no, 28% said maybe a little, and 22% said yes. I know it will definitely be on at our house. My husband recently got back from the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, and it really renewed his love of the game. Our family will be cheering on the Dodgers. All right, here's today's question. What happens to the leaves in your yard? Your choices are rake, bag, and be done. Mulch them. Let nature do its thing. Leaf pile for the kids or me. No leaves to worry about. You can vote now with the link in the show notes, and Ayla will have the results for you tomorrow. I'll just answer that when my kids were little, we definitely did the leaf pile, but now we hit the easy button. And when I say we, I mean my husband. He just mulches them. Time for a brain boost with trivia. Remember the question? Which 2 countries have highways without a speed limit? The answer? Germany and the Isle of Man. These are the only 2 places on Earth where some highways have no official speed limits. You've probably heard of Germany's famous Autobahn network. Drivers can go as fast as they want on certain unrestricted stretches. Now, there is an advisory limit of 130 kilometers per hour. That's about 81 miles per hour, but it's just a recommendation. And then there's the Isle of Man, a small self-governing British Crown dependency in the Irish Sea. They've also got many rural roads without posted limits. Instead of setting speed limits, they rely on driver judgment and strict enforcement of careless driving laws. And with that, we've come in for a speedy landing ourselves. Thank you so much for spending part of your weekend with me. I hope you're heading into the week feeling informed and prepared. To feel more positive, though, don't forget to catch the Feel Good Flyover for our new podcast extra feature. It's an exclusive interview with the people behind the good news headlines. You can check it out. It launched this last Friday. Ayla will be back with you Monday, and I'll see you right here next weekend. Thanks for flying with us.